And I think what we're seeing now that's really making the difference is not the development of new technologies and new sensors and new devices, although that is coming and there's new technologies, especially in the microbiome omics space. But it's more how we handle data that's beginning to catch up with the devices.
Blood talks, signatures, patterns, and themes revealed by big data analysis of biomarkers from commercial broiler chickens. Today we will find out more about this topic in the latest episode of Future Feed Talks. I am Zanna van Dijk, an editor at Musset International Media, and this series is in cooperation with dsm-firmenich Animal Nutrition and Health. I will be talking to Cowieson, who is a Senior Science Fellow of Animal Nutrition at dsm-firmenich, and he will walk us through this important topic and how this is significant in the commercial broiler sector. Aaron has been involved in global animal feed strategies, and his research and development spans from human to swine and poultry nutrition. Welcome, Aaron.
Thank you.
So why the focus on this topic and why is it important?
It's important to put data in the hands of our customers in a way that they can actually do something with it. And I think moving into a sort of more modern animal production paradigm, digital tools, sensors and devices are going to become the norm. And then the question is, okay, how do you connect with the data that these devices are generating in a way that makes sense? And so it's important to have analyzable data. It's important to be able to visualize the data, and it's important to be able to translate information from that data in a way that you can use in strategic business making decisions.
Yeah, so it's about what you do with the data and how it can be valuable to those who need specific information.
Exactly. And one of the challenges at the moment is that a lot of these devices, that some of which I'll be talking about during my presentation, but a lot of these devices automatically generate very complex and large volumes of data. So that needs to be taken very seriously, because it's not helpful for our customers in DSM to be just presented with lots and lots of data. It has to be done, displayed, managed, annotated in a way that they can actually
make use of
and
it.
access. Exactly.
Right. So in terms of recent developments in recent years, how is this helpful for commercial broiler in a commercial broiler setting?
So 5 or 6 years ago, perhaps, there was a lot of interest in smart farms and sensors and devices and so on. And I think what we're seeing now that's really making the difference is not the development of new technologies and new sensors and new devices, although that is coming and there's new technologies, especially in the microbiome omics space. But it's more how we handle data that's beginning to catch up with the devices. So there's a lot of the sensors that we're using in DSM are not in themselves particularly new necessarily. They're not ancient devices, but they're 5 or 10 years that they've been in use. But what we're doing now with the way that we can handle data, store data, process data, using machine learning, for example, to make sense of the data, algorithms and pipelines that can automate data visualizations, that's actually where the disruption and the insights are coming from. So, and that's really exciting, because now you've got a point where devices that have been available for some time are really having a second wind, if you like. They become more relevant.
Meaningful impact, if you will.
Yeah.
So in terms of a timeline and how fast that has progressed, could you comment on that? I mean, is it vastly different to how it has been 10 years ago?
I think I hesitate to use the phrase artificial intelligence. I think it's often used and maybe rarely understood, but I will use the phrase artificial intelligence. But there's a lot of these machine learning processes that are available now in a way that wasn't available perhaps 5 or 10 years ago. So
right.
that's possibly, it's not my area of expertise. Computational capacity and computing power is maybe part of it, but I think it's more to do with connecting data in a more disruptive way. And I can give one brief example, is that if we have data that's in like metadata, we would call it, so production data from customers, and then you can connect that with biomarker data from different biological matrices, maybe omics data. That's where a lot of these disruptions and things are actually coming from.
Yeah. So I was just going to ask about big data analysis and biomarkers. Can we do more with this? And how do you see the future in this? Is it growing very progressively and very fast?
Yeah. So my experience with biomarkers is that the initial challenge that you encounter when you start looking at biomarkers is that they don't in themselves necessarily mean very much. So I've never encountered one of our customers who says, I'm desperately interested to know what my, in birds or in pigs, what the blood level of creatine kinase is or albumin or something. In and of themselves, these pieces of information are not that important to our customers. Where it does have a disruptive impact is if you can connect those kind of biomarker patterns with things that our customers do care about, like livability or productivity, environmental sustainability. And then you can use the biomarkers using machine learning classifier models that I mentioned earlier to bring significant insights to the customer.
You just touched on environmental sustainability. I wanted to ask, in terms of sustainability, how does your topic connect further to sustainability in commercial broiler production?
I wouldn't say it's central at the moment, but it's very strongly connected to that topic. Fundamentally, sustainability of animal production is a consequence of the nutrient matrix in the feed that you're providing to the animals, and how efficiently the animals can convert that into meat without damaging biochemical flows of nitrogen or odor forming chemicals or phosphorus, for example, into the environment. And by measuring biomarkers, it allows you to pick up patterns where you can say, okay, these are associated with below average or above average emissions. So we might want to intentionally induce a more sustainable footprint by manipulating the biomarkers within the animals to improve health and welfare or nutritional capacity, whatever it may be.
It's almost a step before that happens. It's basically being involved ahead of time, right?
Yeah.
In your presentation, Blood Talks, what are the main highlights to take away in terms of non-scientific terms for the poultry farming sector?
In non-scientific terms, I would say what we're doing is, with measuring biomarkers, what we're doing is making visible things that are currently not visible, invisible. So, and that's super exciting because a lot of our customers are seeing things happening on farms, not necessarily always knowing why. And what we can do with the biomarkers is predict things in advance sometimes, quite often, several days before a veterinarian might notice anything happening. And so we're able to some extent forecast the future, which is pretty neat.
Which also saves money on
which can save money, and it can help you make better strategic decisions.
Right.
So I think that's probably the biggest, what I would say the biggest opportunity. It's connecting our customers with meaningful data that they're currently not able to get that easily themselves.
Okay, and in terms of R&D, you've been involved in swine nutrition, also human nutrition and poultry nutrition.
Yeah.
How do you see the future, and are there any breakthroughs on the horizon? Do you see that?
In a word, I would say personalization is maybe the key. At least for human nutrition, personalization is a very important step because as it turns out, every individual has a very unique set of nutrient requirements, different activity patterns, sleeping patterns. We were just talking about jet lags and all of these things. So it's about trying to connect more precisely the nutrients that are being consumed with the requirements of the host. And that's true of whether it's a pig or a chicken or a turkey or
across the board, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Multi-species.
All right. So thank you, Erin, we've enjoyed having you today. And thank you for your insights today. Thank you for watching Future Feed Talks. If you would like to see more episodes, please click on the links below.